Hi everyone and welcome back to Azure for Sure live show. I'm your host Simon and we are back once again. Can you even believe it? This is episode number 8 and we only have this is episode number 8. Yeah, this is episode number 8 and we only have 2 episodes to go until this season ends. This was only 10 episodes series. Azure for Sure. We're going to come back soon, very soon. And for someone who is joining us for the very first time, we do this live show every Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, but we are a little delayed today. We are streaming at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. Plus, I think we are delayed 2 minutes more. So never mind. It's going to be a really interesting day. I have a very exciting guest waiting behind the scene. She is Jonah. Jonah is a Microsoft MVP. I've known her for a while. I've been following her on LinkedIn and on Twitter. She's very active in the community. She does a lot of sessions, and I think she loves taking selfie near her work desk. You'll find a lot of pictures of her work desk on her Twitter. And today she's going to talk about Azure Serverless and her community journey, which I believe is very inspiring. So let's see, we have a couple of comments. What is it? Oh, all right, we have Hooken in the comments. Hi, Hooken. Yeah, and these folks, and she does a lot of community stuff. She's going to talk about it when she joins in. So without any further ado, let's bring our speaker in today. Kumusta, Jonah, and welcome to Azure for Sure live show.
Hi, Simon. Hi, everyone that's tuning in with us tonight or today live. And hi, Håkan. I saw that you were tuning in as well. I heard you said "Kumusta." Are you are
Yeah,
you are you learning Filipino?
yeah, I would love to learn, and I've told you the reason why I would love to learn.
Yeah, I
So,
could.
Jonah, yeah. So, Jonah,
I could.
where are you joining us today from, actually?
I'm joining from Sweden. Yes,
Wow, that's a really nice
yes.
place to go. How's the weather in Sweden today?
We're about to end our winter, and it's kind of like a mix of warm and kind of like chilled weather. So the
Yeah,
snow is melting, so I look forward for the
wow,
spring. I like spring
yeah.
and summer in Sweden.
Yeah, summer is good. Let's not talk about summer and spring in India. It's very hot. I'm joining from Delhi, India, and it's very hot. I would we get like 2 or 3 months of winter, but still love it. So, Jonah, I'm not going to take a lot of your time. No, we have tons of content to talk about, and I know you have a great content to deliver around Azure serverless. So that's what we're going to talk about it, right? So, would you like to dive straight into it, and then we get towards the second half? We do a lot more chit chat. That's how we do it.
Yeah, sure, because we only have 30 minutes, and we were a
Yeah.
bit late also.
All right, Jonah, it's all you now. We can see your
Yes,
screen.
thank you, thank you. All right, let me just go to my presentation. All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today. So today, this is a very brief overview about serverless in Azure, my community story, and even my tech story. And before I start, let me share about myself. I'm Jonah Andersson. I work as a software developer at Forefront Consulting. I'm outside my work. I am Microsoft MVP for Azure, also a certified trainer, a mentor to other young women in tech, a writer. I'm writing a book about Azure, and also one of the community leaders of Azure User Group Sweden. And today, I just want to briefly do a quick touch on a few things that I want to share with you today. My tech story about Azure User Sweden, the serverless in Azure, what services that are available for serverless in Azure, and a brief overview about Azure functions and durable functions. So here's an overview of my tech story. So I was born in the middle of 80s, originally from the Philippines. and I grew up in the city near the ocean, a tropical weather. And I studied computer science, and I supposed to be studying. I wanted to be a civil engineer, but then due to life circumstances, I ended up studying computer science as a scholar, and that's one of the things that I didn't regret. I loved it. And I graduated computer science in 2004, and that was also the days where I was having issues with family struggles and things. But that I conquered. I moved to Sweden 2011. I studied software development in Java, and then in .NET, and then I started working as a consultant in 2015, and now I'm working as a software engineer and all the things that I do currently. And that's it. That's my tech story, and I hope that you got inspired. That's a quick version of it. And I want to share with you as well about Azure User Group Sweden. It's a meetup community for Azure that was founded in February 2011. I started it alone from the beginning because I saw that there was something missing in my area, especially in the mid north of Sweden. There's no user group that shares technical sessions about Azure, and that was also the pandemic times where everyone was remotely working. So I decided to create one. I ran it for by myself alone for the first time until I got in collaboration in contact with Håkan Silvernagel, who is with us also today, and he has been a good community partner in hosting and organizing our sessions. So thank you, Håkan, for being supportive. And in Azure User Group Sweden, we have this tagline for the community by the community, because what we're doing together is for the community, and it's done by us, the community, the MVPs, and all of us, and also the speakers or the audience can also share the knowledge. So if you want to learn more or join our upcoming meetups, you can scan the QR code below that you see here. And we also welcome all speakers, experienced or new, in our user group, because we want to build a community that's inclusive and open for everybody, not just advanced experts of Azure, but also those that are new in cloud computing or Azure. So we want to create that space that everyone is welcome. So if you're interested to speak and share knowledge about Azure that you learned, you can scan the QR code as well. And also, I want to share about cloud computing. So, I want to share what cloud computing is. So, cloud computing is an abstraction of servers or infrastructure. It means that as a developer, you don't need to worry about the underlying infrastructure behind the system. And in cloud, if you do serverless, usually it's a pay as you go model or a consumption model. And there's a big capability of integration with other Azure services or services in the cloud, as well as external services or APIs. And it's event driven. That's the heart of serverless. It's event driven, so it suits that kind of architecture in your application. And the good thing about it is that it's auto scaling, so it automatically scales for you, and you don't have to manually do it. So, since I'm in Sweden and I'm both Filipina and Swedish, so I want to share with you the serverless Swedish fika comparison. And first, we want to share about monolith architecture that looks like a layered cake. And then we have microservices. So in here, in the monolithic architecture, you have all layers, the data layers, the application layers, and the service layers. So all the business logic are like in one place, one infrastructure, and then there's also microservices that look like cupcakes, where you have one service for each specific purpose. For example, a microservice or a service that handles user management or billing management. So they're kind of like isolated, and they if something happens to one of the services, the other one doesn't get affected. So that's one of the reasons that microservices is also uh, uh, commonly used in some architecture instead of monolithic. And we also have containerization, which is pretty trend and popular these days, aside from serverless. It's like putting everything in one box and you can have it in containers. And also the serverless, it's lightweight, it's easy to start or create, just like Azure Functions, for example. And you don't have to worry about the infrastructure or the servers behind it or maintaining it. So it's like having a small piece of candy in your pocket, and you can grab it anytime when you need it. So when it comes to control and productivity, so there's more uh, from left to right, for example. You have more control in the monolithic architecture. However, you don't have so much productivity. So the more you go to the right, for example, serverless or containers, you gain more productivity, especially for your development team. So that's the Swedish serverless Fika comparison. And there are uh, different services in Azure when it comes to serverless. But the purpose of that, major purpose, as you can see here, is to increase developer velocity, boost team performance by having a fully managed cloud platform, and improve organizational impact when it comes to using serverless in Azure, like, for example, modernization and digitalization. So it makes things easier for us compared to building something on-premise or monolithic architecture. And when it comes to serverless in Azure specifically, there are specific resources or services like for compute, for workflows and integration, databases, monitoring, and integrations. So, for example, in compute, there is Azure Functions with extension durable functions, and there's Azure Kubernetes. There's also Azure Container Apps that you can integrate with Kata and Dapper. And as for serverless workflows and integration, all of this from compute, you can integrate it also with Azure Logic App, API management, and Service Bus. And there's also a new service right now, I think that's in preview, the Azure Web Pub sub that you can use with integrations with serverless. And serverless databases, there's also Azure SQL and Azure Cosmos DB in serverless model. And monitoring, we have Azure Monitor, and for integrations with IoT services, we have it as well in Azure. So those are the services. There are a lot of them, so they can be connected or integrated with each other. And Azure Functions, it's one of the uh, compute service that I'm passionate about, or I talk a lot in my public speaking. So Azure Functions is one of the serverless functions service in Azure that's event driven. You focus more on logic as a developer, and you can integrate it with other services and API. And it's like the code, basically the code and your events and data. And when it comes to coding serverless, we often encounter the problems of deadlock. Deadlock, especially if you're doing concurrency tasks or programming. So the solutions for that would be the durable functions, which is an extension of Azure Functions. So durable functions, it allows you to create stateful workflow in serverless environments. And what the good thing about it is that you can focus on keeping the state. I mean, you don't have to worry about managing the state of your activities or tasks, because it's stateful, and durable functions extension does it for you, and it supports the languages that we have today, like C sharp, JavaScript, Python, or PowerShell. So I have a simple example, like a simple one. So one example pattern that you can do with durable functions is the function chaining, where you can actually, for example, in this simple one, you have an Azure Blob trigger, which gets triggered when you upload an image in your Azure storage, and then you have an orchestrator here, and then you passed in your blob image data, and then here's your chain. Like you have three functions that, for example, sends the message to service bus, and then when it's done, it's gonna like kind of send SMS or called via Twilio API, and also send email through SendGrid API. So the purpose of this simple example is that it shows a simple example that Azure Functions or Serverless can be integrated with different services within Azure, or even external APIs as well. And this was the result. So I got SMS on my phone, and on my watch, a call, and also a mail. In that very simple example. So, and there are different patterns. The first one that I showed is function chaining. There's fan out, fan in. There's async HTTP API, monitor pattern, human interaction if you require something that requires interaction or response from a human. And there's also aggregator, which if you need to aggregate data from different resources, and like aggregate all the results as one. So that's the presentation, and there's just learning resources that I want to share, especially if you're new to serverless. There are a lot of great resources. So these are the lists that I recommend. Microsoft Learn is always the first one, and you can always follow Azure Functions on Twitter and other serverless community at links that we have here, so you can check it out on this page. So that's my short presentation, Simon. Thank you.
Wow, I loved it, Jonah, especially the slides that had all these chocolates and all. I really loved the comparison between the productivity and the control as you went from left to right. I think that slides was really put very well. So I loved it.
Yes.
How long it took you to put this all presentation? I know it was a last moment decision, but how long it took you?
Like I think few minutes, because some of them, like the fika, I used
Hmm.
it in my other PowerPoint presentation before, but I kind of like compressed it because we only have 30 minutes, and I like this conversation
What
more
is
like
fika actually? What is fika? Is it sweet?
yeah, fika. Swedish fika is it's like a tradition in Sweden where you, together with your family or friends or your colleagues, take a time to have a break and have a coffee and something sweet. So it's
Oh, what
called
a
it like the
complex
sweet.
thing.
Yeah, and when you talk fika, there are like typical
Mhm.
Swedish fika breads that they or we eat. But you can do as you want actually. So for example, this day today, I think yesterday, I had a
Mhm.
digital we call digital fika with my colleagues, because everyone is remotely working. So
Mhm.
we were on a digital meeting in Zoom. So everyone has coffee, and then we just drink and chit chat digital. It's not the same as in person, but it's still nice anyway to see your colleagues
Yeah.
face to face digitally. Yeah.
But you've
Yeah.
started to visit office these days, and I've seen some of your pictures that you've been to office recently.
Yeah, I do. In fact, I will be maybe in the office next week. There were some from time to time we have like digital meetings. Sometimes we do have in
Mhm.
person meeting like after work stuff. So yeah, it will be. We will have an after work next week. So I will be there in the middle of the week. See some people.
Yeah. So Jenna, I'm just curious, right? The team that you work with, I mean, how many people are like Azure experts? How many people have started their journey? Kind of how does your team look like? Because you're really passionate about this Azure technology and this Azure function, right? This cloud computing and all. I'm just trying to understand how does your team look like? Because one has to be really good to be working with you, isn't it?
A good question. To answer the first question about how many in my team works with Azure, good in Azure. Actually, none. It's only me.
So
So
you're
my
the expert.
I'm the expert. So what I do at work is I share knowledge instead of do some
Hmm.
trainings to help my colleagues
Yeah.
with like preparing for Microsoft certifications, or sometimes if they have specific questions that they can't find in hard to understand in the documentation in Microsoft
Mhm.
documentation because it's pretty big. So
Yeah,
they
it's big.
contact me and ask me that. So I kind of like a mentor, Azure
Yeah,
mentor at work as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen. I think Friday afternoon you do these trainings for your teammates, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. We
Yeah.
have like a trainee program where like
Hmm.
those that are new in tech or junior developers that wants to work as a consultant, so they have like about 1 year to kind of like 80% of their time they do a normal job, and then they have some time also to kind of learn. It's like going to school, and it's like on
Yeah.
the job training, you call it in we call it like that in the Philippines, but it's something like that, like a trainee program.
That's good. It's always good to share. I mean, you remember far better when you go ahead and share with other folks, and it helps you clear your concepts a lot. So, Jonah, when I saw your slides of this timeline, right, how you moved from Philippines to Sweden, right? Then first you were a Java developer. Now you work with C Sharp and .NET. So, how did that transition actually happen from Java to C Sharp .NET?
Actually, I'm .NET, and then I
Mm-hmm.
learned Java and then
Oh,
.NET.
really?
Yes, but my first programming language, I feel so old when I go back in time. But my first programming language was actually Visual Basic, so I had to learn it on the
Oh,
big like CRT tube computers, the
I don't know
small
that. I've
14
never seen
each.
something.
You're too young. Yes, yeah. But
Uh,
yeah, I transitioned because my first IT consulting job when I started working full time as one was working with C sharp or .NET, and
mhm.
I worked more with C sharp. Since then, I studied more programming, so yeah. But I like Java as well. I remember I enjoyed creating my own gaming app, a
Mhm.
weather app using Java, and I could use it on my Android phone. So I like that. So I like that part of Java as well. So, but that's a good thing about Azure. It doesn't matter what language you're good at or what you code. There are support for that. So, for example, Azure Functions. For example, you can use C sharp, but you can also code it in other languages.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
yeah, I see Microsoft has been a lot more open in past close to a decade now. I mean, as you just mentioned about the Java, I think they're recently going to have this Java conference also probably in couple of
Yeah.
months. And Rory is an amazing guy who is a senior cloud advocate. I think he's now a principal cloud advocate for Java, and he does a lot of great session and events. So definitely go ahead and follow him. You know what now you sound so passionate about your job, right? So what is
Yes.
the most boring task about your job, or it's something that
The
you know like?
most that's good. The most I mean boring. I think boring may be when I'm on a long meeting and I have something to
Yeah.
do. So I think that's most challenge. Like you have to sit in a 2 3 hours planning meeting, and then you have a lot of things to do. So that's I think the boring part of it, and also also frustrating part of my job as a software developer is trying fixing bugs. Like if you get something, you have to fix this bug, and you
Yeah.
have to find where that bug is. And then when you find that bug, you have to fight with the bug. You know what I mean? In the
Yeah.
coding perspective.
Yeah, I mean, finding it, then fixing it, and while you fix it, you end up coming up with some more couple of bugs. So I think bugs is something that is always there as a software developer. You always, I think it's a day-to-day job working with the bugs. And
Yes.
what else? I mean, while you were talking about you wanted to be a mechanical engineer, but you ended up becoming a software engineer, right? How come a mechanical engineering mindset moved to a computer science?
You mean civil engineer? Like
Oh, sorry, yeah,
yeah,
civil
yeah,
engineer,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, engineer. And yeah, I think it's because, as I mentioned in my tech story, that it's because of life circumstances. Because I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be a civil engineer because I used to like sketching buildings, and I want to build something. I want to help build something that's like
Wow.
unusual. And back in the Philippines, being a civil engineer or architect, it's a man's dominated
Oh
job.
yeah, same
And
in India.
I'm a female, and I want to be different. I want to be like again like the only that sticks out, the only in the group that sticks out. So that didn't happen because my parents couldn't said you can't go to college, we don't have money for that. So what I
Yeah.
did is that I signed up for a scholarship program in my high school. I saw
Mm-hmm.
that I had the opportunity, so I grabbed it without asking my parents, and I just surprised them. I got the scholarship. I will go to college, and
Yeah.
I had the option to make scholarship only allows me to choose a course or studies that are in private school.
Mm-hmm.
And the private school options within the scholarship don't have civil engineering. So the best option I had that I thought was interesting was computer science. So I studied computer science major in programming. So I learned a lot of binary codes and computer typing. I had that
Yeah.
class as well. And so ASCII tables, and then I had my thesis, and that was back then the time when internet was new for
Mm-hmm.
everyone. So I did a thesis about internet, how it helps the society back then in the 1990s, late 90s. So it was
Yeah.
good. If I look back, it's like a big difference. The creation of internet until now, we in the cloud arena, and me working for it. So even if I'm not building like houses or architecting houses, I'm glad I chose software engineering, because I don't think in the Philippines civil engineering or here in Sweden is is a job that you get to learn a lot of things. So it's a
Yeah.
good choice. Everything happens for a reason. I believe in that.
Yeah, sometimes I just want to stick that thought to my mind, but sometimes situations are quite challenging. So I just
Yes.
want that's something that happens for. Yeah, and Jonah, you said you were writing, you were reading books, you were writing about the internet then at time, but now Jonah, you have ended up writing your own book, isn't it? Why didn't I want to know about? So couple of days back, I was checking the link of that O'Reilly book that you're writing, right? And I check it. It is releasing somewhere, I think, mid 2023, isn't it?
Yeah,
Somewhere to
next year, in the middle of next year. So
yeah.
I'm on a book project with O'Reilly, where I'm writing a book about Azure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 14, I think it should be 14 chapters as I planned,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm about in the middle of it. And the reason why I wrote the book is because of my personal motivations, not because I'm good at writing a book. I never written a book before, but it's because in my experience as a developer, I know I had a challenge of a cloud migration project that didn't went well, or didn't went to production because of the organization's lack of cloud knowledge. And that motivated me that I want to learn more about cloud, more about Azure. And that's where I am today. I'm a Microsoft Azure MVP. I'm teaching Azure. And I wanna write the book to include the beginners as well, or those that are in IT professional or non-tech positions that want to learn about Azure or cloud, but they don't know where to start. They don't know what to choose because if you're a beginner of Azure, you see all this great services. You don't know where to start. You don't know which way to go. So we need to kind of like, as experts, we need to guide them.
Yeah, I definitely get it. Sometimes it can be a little overwhelming looking at so many resources to start. There's so much of content there. Which service to pick. You come from different programming background. So yeah, you're learning Microsoft Azure. So I'm just curious, Jonah, that when did you start writing the book? This year, early this year?
Late last year, actually.
So
I
does it
think
really
about
take so long to write a book for folks like me who have never written a book, right? For me, having a patience of like 18 months to just write down a book, how do you keep yourself motivated?
Yeah, actually, I mean, I've started writing my book or started my book project sometime after summer last year, but I don't
Mhm.
write it full time every day because I have my full time job. So I do it like sometimes after work, few hours in the evening, or sometimes in the weekends if I don't have my Azure User Group Sweden event,
Yeah.
doing community stuff. But how do I keep my motivation? Good question. I think it's even though it's tiring sometimes, like you
Mhm.
have to commit to the deadlines and editing and writing. I i try my best that mindset I have, just like how it is with my life and my journey, to never give up. Like if I had a good motivation to write it, and I every time I feel like kind of like, can I make it to the end, I always think of the begin with the end in mind. So I like I like the book of Stephen Covey,
Yeah.
begin with the end of mind, the 7 habits of highly effective people. And I always think that I should think that I am already in the finish line every time I have
Mhm.
that. And my finish line is that I have happy users or beginners of Azure that are learning and inspired in reading my book. So I'm thinking that way positively.
Yeah, that's good. I
When I
would
feel,
love to
yeah, when I feel like I'm out of energy for that, for writing.
I would love to see your book in the background. You have so many books already there. What are those books about, and which is one of your favorite?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot. I have like a Sudoku book. I have a
Really?
computer science book. There is also a book
You have a
about
chess too. You are a
Go.
very smart person, Jonah. You have a chess over there.
Yeah, I play chess.
Wow, you're very clever, smart.
So my Azure heroes are playing chess right now because I'm busy. Yes, yeah. So you also like books. I like reading books.
Yeah,
I think when I go in pension or when I get old, I'll just read books or write books, and travel.
you should hit clubs and pubs when you get old, Jonah. Alright. All right, Jonah. I think we are reaching a little over time now. Anything I know you run your Azure user group. I would encourage everyone to go ahead and we'll drop the links in the comments when while we go ahead and re-promote this event. Anything you want to add for people watching in or any final thoughts?
Nothing special actually. This week has been very like intensive in a way that I've been working and also public speaking, podcasting, as you notice, with my
Things are on
links.
the
But
edge.
yes, but nothing else actually. I just want to thank you, Simon, Asher, for sure, for having me here, and also for our audience that joined us tonight, even if it's after work hours in Europe, at least, or in Sweden.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yes.
thank you, Jonah. I mean, I know people have work to do. They're really busy, and when you taking out your time and coming up on this live show and preparing the content, there's no way we can pay back. I host so many people, and I always believe that it time really matters. That people giving me time to host them and also coming up with their time, finding the time in this schedule. So thank you so much, Jonah. You are a big inspiration. I see. I can definitely see you becoming a big community star. You are a community star, but I believe you'll go very, very far. Thank you so much once again. And everyone
Yes.
who's watching, we will see you next Thursday. It would be episode number 8. I think this was episode number 7, so I kind of messed it up.
Yes.
So this was Jonah.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
Yeah.
ahead. You want to say something?
Yeah. Yeah. I want to say something. I want to
Oh, the
show
Cloud Summit.
something. This one.
Yeah, yeah, I had to
The
put it up.
Cloud Summit. The
Yeah, the Cloud
Cloud.
Summit. You also have the award in the background.
And this one. Wait,
Oh, C
it's
sharp.
hard to
Yeah.
see.
By the way, let me ask you this quick question, Jonah, before we leave. When was the first time you went to C Sharp on their website?
When was the first time? I think that was a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think I signed up an account there, but I wish I would be more active there. I want to contribute actually, so hopefully we can connect after that and see if I can write some or
Yeah,
contribute more.
anyone can do it. If you have your own articles, you can always put it on C Sharp Corner. The author owns their copyright, and those articles belongs to
Yeah.
the author. So, all right. So let's see. Hogan is still there. Hogan, thank you so much. Hogan, I have not hosted you. Why in this world I have not hosted you? Right. So I will
Yeah,
host you
you
soon.
should have a Hokan. He's great.
Yeah. All right, Jonah, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining me. This was me and Jonah on episode 7 of Azure for Sure. And we will see you very soon. Ta-da. Bye.
Bye bye.